Hi friend, it's Pat Sloan here for my daily video, and it's Wednesday, Block Wednesday. What do we do on Block Wednesday? We are working on Home Is, and that is our weekly block. So I've got the block today and a little bit about it. So I did change the one that I'm releasing today from a different day on the calendar. So let me tell you about the block first, and then you can update your calendar. So the title of today's is sort of like, where's the warmest spot in your house? That cozy spot, that spot that you go when you're chilled and you just want to get warm again. Maybe you just came from outside, or it was snowy or cold, damp, rainy, or just you need to feel warm. It might not even be cold outside. You just want to have that warm and cozy, cuddly feeling. There is a spot in your house for that. So let me first show you the block. Now remember, I'm doing my blocks in lots of blue fabrics. I have some bundles I'm starting with, but I am using my stash. I'm using what I own and I'm mixing it in with that. So I made actually two versions of the block today. Ta-da-ta-da-ta-da. Here is the first one. So this is the warmest spot. And what I did is I had this really fun bird fabric, and it's one of the, I think it's what were they, the Ruby Society people now. So it may have been when they were cotton and steel. I just don't remember. There was no edging on it. But then I used some of my Morrison Park here, and then I found this really dark blue, which I don't know what that's from. It didn't have any markings on the edges either. So this is the block. It's really nice, compact, simple, fun. I also did it in my Morrison Park fabric. So let me just switch this one out for a second. Let me put it over here so I don't drop it on the floor. And now for Morrison Park, I used these fabrics. So if you are working with my fabrics, yummy, right? So I could use either of these. Now you will see that in all of the Wednesday blocks, I give you a layout to use some of the blocks together into a quilt. So here is the layout, which could be multiple blocks, and I'm thinking I'm going to do one of these. Just use up some scraps and different fabrics I have, small pieces, just sort of a archive of my, I don't know, will I do it in blue? I have an extra blue block. Not sure which one of these I'll use in the quilt, in the Home Is quilt. So I'm thinking I might play around with the blue fabrics to make another blue quilt, just to use up some small pieces of scraps. Now this is a big block in the middle. It's 6 inches. And then the rest are just strips and squares. But you need to be on your A game a little bit if this matters to you. And that's the part that's the big if. Because for some of you, this will not matter whatsoever. And for others of you, it will. The way I wrote that, I could write the pattern a couple different ways. And that's the way pattern designers are. We don't have to write it one way to end up with this block. There's a couple ways to write it. So I wrote it so that you make these units. And then you make these units. And then you have the center. So you're doing 4 of these rectangle strips, and then you're doing the 4 corners. But the corners are not equal. There are 2 sets of corners. Let me show you down on the table here. And so you will make, and so what it is it makes a difference how your, where this rotates. Because when you rotate the block, sometimes it will be vertical and sometimes this will be horizontal. And whether that matters to you or not, you know, that depends. Some of you, it would make you insane if 2 of them were going this direction, even though it would end up in the same spot. I'm going to show you on the quilt here in a second. But you're going to make 2 of them like this with the 2 patch with the dark on this side, and then 2 with the 2 patch on the dark on that side. And I lay that out in the pattern. Now let me show you on the block itself. So if I have, oops, see? Okay, so we'll start with this one. So here on this corner, this is the same. They're the same. The vertical, the strip is across the top. Now if I come over to this corner and I just rotate it, okay? So if I take this and just rotate it like that, now what do you see? The strip is vertical instead of horizontal. See, this one goes across the top and this one goes up and down. Now, ultimately the block looks exactly the same. A block doesn't really look any different, but for some people this will matter. And if you have certain fabric, that might matter as well. You know, you might have a fabric that has a bit of a pattern to it, and so it might be really obvious when you do this. I want to show you another thing about fabric with pattern on the other block with the birds. So here, if you look, just get you in here just a little bit closer. So you can see these are kind of a diamond shape. You know, they go, they have a top and a bottom that's longer and then short on the sides. So what I did is when I cut all of these, I cut them so that they all have the long ways going top to the bottom, no matter whether they're cut here or over here on the side. And you have to figure that out while you're cutting them, because if you made them all identical, these ones would be rotated. You would have the long points going sideways. The same with the squares. I made all of the squares, over here, all of the squares so that they're up and down. They're like a diamond, up and down, rather than a fat, you know, across ways. So that's another thing to look at with your fabric directions, and directional fabrics, directional fabrics, is whether there's something that you're cutting that you really want to be sure that they all go the same way. But if those things don't bother you, just cut strips and subcut them and sew it up. It's a pretty easy one. I'm pretty excited because especially, let me tell you a little bit more about the warm spots. In the pattern, when you download it, I'll tell you a little bit about Greg's favorite spot when he was a kid, to get warm. For me, the thing I remember the most, and writing this made me remember it. I hadn't really thought about this for a really long time, but when we lived in Brussels, Belgium, the house that we rented, my parents rented for 4 years or more. They were there longer than me. The living room on the first floor in the front of the house had floor-to-ceiling windows across the whole width of the house. It was glorious. When the sun came in, which in Belgium, by the way, it is not a very sunny country. There was, at least when I lived there, the 4 years I lived there, it was very cloudy and chilly often. So when the sun would come in, it was really great. I was a teenager, so you know, I would sit on the floor by those great big windows and be able to look out and just have all of that warmth come in through the windows. You might have a chair in your living room or your bedroom, a little nook in your house. Your warmest spot might be to go and sew. That might be what warms you up the most. So today, reflect on that. Tell me about it when you share your block. And I think I'm going to make a few more of these. I'm going to dig through my blues and look for smaller pieces that I can use up. I think a scrappy one of these blocks would be really, really fun to do. What do you think? You can do one, not do one, but I'm going to do one. Speaking of, let's see. Let me show you this. I was looking for some red and white fabrics, and well, first of all, my Pyrex that I got on eBay finally came. The very nice lady, she first refunded my money because she didn't, you know, there was no word. It had been over a month to where the package was, and about 2 days later, of course, right, 2 days later it arrives. It is so cute. Look at this, and I can put charm packs in it. I'm not cooking in it. And it's turquoise. It does have snowflakes. I probably need a turquoise one without snowflakes now. But I was thinking of I haven't done an Oh My Stars for a while, and I don't have a red and white one. So I thought, oh, I wonder if I could find a cute red and white line. Well, Sandy Gervais, my friend Sandy Gervais of Riley Blake, has the adorable red and white line. This one is called From the Heart, right? Perfect. So let me pull you down here, and you can take a look. I'm wearing black. I'm going to get fuzzies all over me, aren't I? So just pull this out a bit. So it has like her little line drawings, which are always so sweet. Look, like a little teeny heart on the bottom of the vase. How sweet is that? And so some of these are duplicated. There's a whole bunch of hearts, but there's just a lot of red. And then, oh, see, I love that. Look at that, with the little bitty hearts. And these sort of ruchy flowers. And then small, oh, there's a plaid in there. So there's a plaid. Because this one has so much going on with just the red and white. That's cute. That I could almost alternate red and whites for an Oh My Stars, and then maybe do solid white stars, because I don't think any of these read solid white. I like that plaid. It's got like a little flower in it. Can you tell? So here's like a flower, like a meadow, you know, with all the flowers. And then she has on white with the ruched or cream, and then the hearts, and then all, you know, in the white, and then this mix. But if I did, I could even maybe do a dark red, a darker red than this for the stars of Oh My Stars. But I have not done one of those to hang up lately or to use, and I thought, so I got a couple of the charm packs so that I would have enough. So that's what I'm thinking of. I'm thinking of doing that with these. And here's a picture of the Oh My Stars. So if you're not familiar with it, there's a free version, which is this size, and then I have a pattern that you can purchase for just a couple of dollars that gives you multiple sizes with the layouts and how much you need and all of that. So that so it's a great way to you know, get a bigger size. And they use 5-inch squares, and then a little, you know, then some fabric for the stars, because generally you have to get some fabric for the stars because you need them to pop off of these other colors, as if they often they can be, if you've got a lot of different colors in your squares, the stars might need to be solid in order to be really seen. So you have to kind of audition that and be sure you get a color that's just right for the quilt. So I am thinking about that. If I do that, I would put it up here on the wall and lay them out. I think that would be fun. Sort of do it in between some other things. Like I don't think I'd necessarily have it done for Valentine's Day. Maybe the top, but I don't know. Right now I have the In Seasons quilt up there, and that's the one that we still have kits for that one. So if you are looking for a Morrison Park project to do with my fabric, that one's all ready to go. And Norm is overseeing things at the moment, and he really should be a project to finish Norm and Nanette quilt for this year for me. Don't you think? I should fire that project back up, maybe in March, because you know he's green, but I might have to keep him. He might have to make a duplicate for the quilt and keep him and make him into a single mascot for the room here. I would be lonely if I didn't have Norm in here with me. That's all right, my friend. Thank you for visiting here with me today. I hope that you will be making your warmest spot in the house for the Home Is Sew Along. And if you would just click subscribe down there while you're watching this, that would be very awesome for me. I think I would appreciate it so much. So I love you. I will see you online.